The hands on her back weren't accidental. Grace was 8 months pregnant with twins when someone pushed her onto train tracks. 3 feet, that's how close the express train came to ending everything. But here's where it gets impossible. The conductor who hit the brakes, the man who saved her life in less than 3 seconds, he's her father, the Navy SEAL father she buried 20 years ago. But he wasn't dead. He'd been watching her every day for 2 decades. And the woman who pushed her husband's mistress, the paralegal he'd been sleeping with for 6 months. Who thought killing Grace was the only way to have him? This is a story about survival, about lies that steal decades, about trains that stop just in time, and about a pregnant woman who refused to be a victim. What you're about to hear will make you question everything you thought you knew about family, betrayal, and second chances. Let's begin. The hands on Grace's back weren't accidental. Grace Sullivan stood on the downtown train platform at 5:30 on a Tuesday evening. 8 months pregnant with twins, grocery bags in one hand, phone in the other. She was texting her husband Derek that she had picked up the paint samples for the nursery. Soft yellow, pale green, colors that would work for any combination of boys or girls. He hadn't responded in 3 hours. The platform was crowded, rush hour, bodies pressed together in the October chill. Grace felt someone standing too close behind her, too close for the amount of space available. She could smell perfume, something floral, expensive. She started to turn, then she was falling. The yellow warning line disappeared beneath her feet. The concrete edge, the tracks, the third rail that could kill her instantly if she touched it. The headlight of the incoming express train growing brighter, closer, impossibly fast. Grace twisted midair. Instinct, protecting the babies. She hit the concrete between the rails hard. Hip first, then shoulder. The breath knocked completely out of her lungs. She tried to inhale. Couldn't. Her chest wouldn't expand. The babies, the babies, the babies. The train horn screamed, a sound that would live in every nightmare for the rest of her life. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think beyond the two lives inside her that needed her to survive. Her hands went to her belly, still round, still there. She felt movement, a kick, thank God, thank God. The air displacement from the train's approach hit her like a hurricane. Wind that pulled at her hair, her clothes, tried to drag her under the wheels. Metal shrieked against metal. Brakes that sounded like the world ending, like every terrible thing happening at once. The train stopped. Front car 3 feet from where she lay gasping on the filthy concrete. Grace stared up at the undercarriage of the train. She could see her reflection in the metal. Pregnant belly. Smudged mascara. Bruised cheek already swelling. She was alive. Somehow. Impossibly. She was alive. The babies were moving, kicking, angry at the disruption, protesting the fall and the fear and the adrenaline flooding her system. Chaos erupted above. People screaming, someone calling 911, someone else shouting about pushing. The words filtered down to where Grace lay in the dim space between the rails and the stopped train. That woman pushed her. I saw it. The blonde woman in the blue coat pushed her. Grace's mind tried to process. Pushed. Someone pushed her. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't her losing her balance. This wasn't pregnancy clumsiness or tired legs or distraction. Someone tried to kill her. Someone tried to kill her babies. A face appeared above, leaning over the platform edge. A man in a conductor's uniform. Weathered face. Kind eyes. Silver hair. Ma'am, can you hear me? Don't move. The power's cut. You're safe. Don't move. Grace tried to speak. Her voice came out as a whisper. My babies. I know. We're going to get you out. Just stay still. Paramedics arrived. Strong hands, careful movements. They lifted her onto a backboard, secured her neck, checked her vitals. Someone kept asking her questions. Her name, the date, who was president. Could she move her fingers, her toes? Grace answered automatically. Grace Sullivan, October 18th. She moved her fingers, her toes, everything worked. Everything hurt, but everything worked. They lifted her up to the platform. The crowd parted. Faces stared, some horrified, some curious, some filming with their phones. Grace wanted to scream at them, to tell them to stop, to give her some dignity, but she couldn't find the energy. The blue coat. She kept thinking about the blue coat. The blonde woman. Where was she? Did they catch her? A police officer appeared, young, nervous. Ma'am, some witnesses say they saw someone push you. Did you see who it was? Grace closed her eyes, tried to remember. The perfume, the hands, firm, purposeful, not a stumble, not an accident, a push. She'd glimpsed something as she fell. Blonde hair, that blue coat. She knew that coat. Her subconscious recognized it, but her conscious mind couldn't quite grasp the memory. Not yet. Not while her body was still in shock. Not while the paramedics were loading her into an ambulance. Not while her phone was ringing. Derek, finally calling back. She stared at the phone. 3 missed calls now. Lock, unlock, lock, unlock, lock. Her thumb moved automatically. Checking, unlocking, checking again. The small ritual that meant nothing and everything. The thing she did when she was anxious, when she was overwhelmed. When the world was too much. Derek never called during work. Never. He said it was unprofessional, that he couldn't take personal calls when he was billing $400 an hour. But now he was calling 3 times. While she was lying on train tracks, the paramedic reached for the phone. Let me call him for you. Tell him to meet us at the hospital. Grace nodded. Let the phone go. Let someone else handle it. Let someone else explain that his pregnant wife had just survived attempted murder. The ambulance doors closed. The siren started. Grace lay on the stretcher and felt the twins moving. Protesting, fighting, little warriors who refused to give up, just like their mother. The ultrasound technician's face went pale. Grace knew that look. She lay on the hospital bed while the technician moved the wand across her belly, gel cold against her skin. The whoosh, whoosh, whoosh of 2 heartbeats filled the room. Twin A, Twin B, both still fighting, both still alive. Everything looks good, the technician said, but her voice was too bright, too cheerful, the voice people used when they were trying not to scare you. Dr. Brennan will be in shortly. Grace closed her eyes, concentrated on breathing, on staying calm, on keeping her heart rate down so the babies would stay calm too. She could do this. She'd been doing this for 8 months, growing 2 humans, keeping them safe, keeping them healthy, until someone pushed her onto train tracks. The door opened. Dr. Helen Brennan entered, 48 years old, competent, kind. She'd been Grace's OB since the positive pregnancy test, since the shock of finding out it was twins, since the morning sickness and the exhaustion and the joy. Grace, Dr. Brennan pulled up a stool, sat at eye level. That was never a good sign. The babies are fine. Both heartbeats are strong, no signs of distress, no bleeding, no contractions. But, Grace heard the unspoken word, but you have bruised ribs, a sprained wrist, significant contusions on your hip and shoulder. You're lucky, incredibly lucky. I've never seen someone fall onto train tracks while pregnant and walk away. I didn't walk. Grace's voice sounded strange, distant, like it belonged to someone else. They carried me. I'm keeping you for 48 hours. Observation. We need to make sure there's no delayed placental abruption. No preterm labor from the trauma. You need to rest, complete rest. Grace nodded. Rest. Sure, she could rest. While processing that someone tried to murder her and her babies, while trying to remember who pushed her, while waiting for the police to ask questions she didn't have answers to, the door burst open. Derek, her husband, 7 years of marriage, expensive suit rumpled, tie askew, eyes red. He crossed the room in 3 strides, grabbed her hand, pressed it to his lips. Oh God, Grace. Oh God, his voice broke. When they called me, when they said, I thought, are the babies okay? We're fine. Grace watched him carefully. Something was wrong, something beyond the obvious nightmare of nearly dying, something in the way he wouldn't quite meet her eyes. Derek, what's wrong? What's wrong? He laughed, bitter, almost manic. You almost died. You and our babies almost died. What could possibly be more wrong than that? But that wasn't it. Grace knew her husband, had known her husband. 7 years taught you the tells. The way his jaw tightened when he was hiding something. The way his eyes shifted left when he lied. The way his hand gripped hers just a little too tight. He wasn't relieved. He was afraid. I should let you rest. Dr. Brennan stood, gave Grace a meaningful look. I'll be back to check on you in a few hours. After she left, Derek paced. 3 steps to the window, 3 steps back. His phone buzzed. He ignored it. It buzzed again. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen. His face went white. Who is it? Grace asked. Work, just work. He silenced the phone, put it in his pocket. Grace, I need to tell you something. The door opened again. Detective Raymond Cole, plain clothes, kind eyes that had seen too much. Notebook in hand, he introduced himself, apologized for the intrusion, said he needed to ask some questions. Mrs. Sullivan, I know this is difficult, but multiple witnesses say a woman pushed you. Deliberately, firmly. They described her as blonde, late 20s, wearing a blue wool coat. Can you think of anyone who would want to hurt you? Grace tried to remember, the hands on her back, the perfume, the glimpse of blonde hair and blue fabric. I'm an elementary school teacher. 3rd grade. I don't have enemies. What about your husband's work? Detective Cole looked at Derek. Any cases that might have created hostility? Threats? I'm a corporate attorney. Derek's voice was tight, controlled, lawyer mode activated. Contract law, mergers, acquisitions, nothing criminal, nothing that would lead to this. What about personal relationships? Affairs, jealous ex-girlfriends? No. Derek's hand tightened on Grace's. Nothing like that. We have a good marriage. We're happy. We're about to have twins. Why would anyone target Grace? Detective Cole made notes. We're pulling security footage from the platform. We'll find her. In the meantime, Mrs. Sullivan, I need you to think. Really think. Has anyone been following you, watching you? Have you noticed anything strange? Grace closed her eyes, tried to think past the pain, past the fear, past the exhaustion. Had anyone been following her? She didn't think so, but she'd been so focused on the pregnancy, on preparing for the twins, on managing her classroom, on coming home exhausted every evening. Would she have noticed? The coat, she said slowly. The blue coat, I've seen it before. I know I have, but I can't remember where. That's okay. Don't force it. Sometimes these things come back when you're not trying so hard. Detective Cole handed her a card. Call me if you remember anything, anything at all. After he left, silence filled the room. Derek still stood by the window, still wouldn't look at her. Grace watched him, really watched him, the man she'd married, the father of her children, the person who was supposed to protect her. Derek, what aren't you telling me? Nothing, I'm processing. You almost died, Grace. But you're not surprised someone pushed me. His head snapped toward her. What? Of course I'm surprised. I'm shocked. I'm horrified. You're afraid, Grace kept her voice calm, steady, the voice she used with students who were lying. When they all pointed fingers at each other and someone was guilty, but nobody would admit it. You're afraid because you know something. So tell me, who pushed me? The door opened before he could answer. Jessica Torres, best friend since college. Grace saw her appear in the doorway, saw Jessica's eyes find Derek, saw her expression shift from concern to something else, something harder, something angrier. Jessica knew something too. Honey. What? Jessica moved to Grace's bedside, carefully avoided looking at Derek, carefully kept her body between Grace and her husband. Thank God you're okay. When I heard, I couldn't. Thank God. Jess, what do you know? Jessica's jaw tightened. She glanced at Derek, then back at Grace, her best friend, the person she'd known for 13 years, the person she'd never lied to, until now, until whatever secret she'd been carrying. Not here, Jessica said quietly. Not now, you need to rest. But Grace saw it, the knowledge, the burden, the thing Jessica had been trying not to tell her. How long have you known? Grace asked, her voice very quiet, very calm, the calm before the storm. Jessica's eyes filled with tears. Gracie, please, not now. How long? Derek moved toward the door. I should go. Let you rest. I'll come back tomorrow. Stay. Grace's voice cut through the room, sharp, commanding, the voice that made third graders freeze mid-misbehavior. Both of you, tell me what's going on. Tell me why someone tried to kill me. Tell me why you both look like you're about to throw up. Jessica sat on the edge of the bed, took Grace's hand. 3 weeks ago, I saw Derek at the Riverside restaurant. You know, that expensive place downtown. I was there for a work dinner, and I saw him in a booth in the back with a woman, blonde, young. They were holding hands. The room went very quiet. The monitors beeped. The twins kicked. Grace's heart rate climbed. The numbers on the screen changed. 120, 130, 140. That's not. Derek's voice cracked. Jessica, you're wrong. You misunderstood. That was a work colleague. We were discussing a case. You were holding hands. Jessica's voice was steel, was fury, was 3 weeks of carrying a secret she should have told immediately. You were looking at her the way you used to look at Grace, and she was wearing a blue coat. Everything stopped. The blue coat. Grace remembered now. The Christmas party. Derek's law firm. 6 months ago. The new paralegal. Young, blonde, beautiful. Amber something. Amber Prescott. She'd been wearing a blue wool coat when Grace arrived, had complimented Grace on her dress, had smiled, had said how lucky Derek was. Amber. Grace's voice came out steady, surprisingly steady. Her name is Amber Prescott. She works with you. Derek's face went white, then red, then white again. She tried to kill me. Grace looked at her husband, at the man who'd promised to love and cherish her, in sickness and health, till death do them part. Your girlfriend tried to murder me and our babies. The conductor asked to see her, said he needed to tell her something about why he stopped the train in time. Day 2 in the hospital. Grace woke to sunlight streaming through the blinds, to the sound of twins A and B doing gymnastics against her ribs, to Derek asleep in the chair beside her bed. He'd been there all night, refused to leave, kept vigil like a man seeking redemption, or like evidence he couldn't let out of sight. Grace had pretended to sleep, had listened to him make quiet phone calls in the hallway, had heard him say, I know, and I'm sorry, and I never meant for this to happen to someone on the other end. She hadn't asked who, hadn't asked what, had simply stored the information away like ammunition for later. A nurse entered. Gentle knock, soft voice, name tag that said Maria. Mrs. Sullivan? There's someone who'd like to see you, the train conductor, Thomas Mitchell. He's been here since yesterday. Keeps asking if you're okay. Security says he seems quite emotional about it. Would you like to see him? Grace sat up, winced at the pain in her ribs. Yes, send him in. Derek stirred, opened his eyes. Who? The conductor, the one who stopped the train. Grace, you should rest. You don't need to see anyone else today. I want to. She kept her voice neutral, calm. They hadn't talked about Amber, about the affair, about any of it. Derek kept trying, kept starting sentences that went nowhere, kept reaching for her hand and pulling back. I want to thank him for saving our lives. The man who entered was tall, 60s maybe, but fit, strong. He wore civilian clothes now, jeans, a button-down shirt, but he carried himself with military bearing, shoulders back, stance was on, eyes that scanned the room before settling on her face. Those eyes. Grace had seen those eyes before, in photographs yellow with age, in mirrors when she looked at her own reflection, in dreams of a man who died in Afghanistan when she was 11 years old. The nurse checked her clipboard. Thomas Mitchell, he drove train number 417 yesterday. The one that, well, she trailed off, left the obvious unsaid. Thank you. Grace couldn't look away from the man, from his face. From the scar above his left eyebrow from a training accident, she remembered her mother mentioning. From the way he stood, the way he looked at her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. Derek stood, crossed his arms. Lawyer mode, suspicious. Mr. Mitchell, we appreciate you stopping the train. My wife and I are very grateful. But Thomas Mitchell didn't look at Derek, didn't acknowledge him, just stared at Grace, eyes filling with tears, hands shaking, voice cracking when he finally spoke. Gracie, the nickname nobody had called her since she was 11. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Your mother said, she told me you were better off, that you'd forgotten. But when I saw you on those tracks, when I hit the brakes and realized, I knew. I knew those eyes. Grace couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process what she was hearing. What did you just call me? Gracie, your father used to call you that before. Tom's voice broke completely. Before I left, before your mother asked me to let you believe I died, before I became a ghost. You're dead. Grace's voice came out flat, broken, distant, like she was narrating someone else's life. You died 20 years ago. Mom showed us the telegram. We buried you. You buried an empty coffin. Tom took one step closer, then stopped, afraid to push, afraid she'd shatter, afraid of the truth he'd carried for 2 decades. Your mother asked me to leave after the last deployment, after I came home. Changed. She said you needed stability, that I was traumatizing you with the deployments, the danger, the nightmares. She gave me a choice. Leave and let you have a normal life, or stay and watch you live in constant fear. Derek stared, confused, trying to follow. Grace, what is he talking about? Who is this man? But Grace couldn't answer, couldn't speak, couldn't do anything but stare at the ghost standing in her hospital room, at her father, her dead father, her Navy SEAL father who was supposed to have died in combat 20 years ago, whose funeral she'd attended, whose flag her mother had folded and placed in a shadow box that still hung in Claire's apartment. So you chose to die? Grace's voice rose. The monitors beeped, her heart rate climbing. You let an 11-year-old girl think her father was dead? You let me cry myself to sleep for months? You let me stand at your empty grave and say goodbye? I let your mother protect you from a life I couldn't leave. Tom's hands twisted together. Old calluses, working hands. I was SEAL Team 6, Gracie. The missions I ran, the things I saw, the things I did. I came home broken, angry, dangerous. Your mother was right. You deserve better than a father who woke up screaming, who saw threats everywhere, who couldn't even handle fireworks without having a panic attack. I deserved my father, but what I saw. The words ripped out of her. 20 years of grief, 20 years of anger, 20 years of thinking she hadn't been enough to make him want to stay. I deserved to know you were alive. The twins kicked, hard, protesting the elevated heart rate, the stress hormones, the adrenaline. Grace felt them, put a hand on her belly, tried to calm down, tried to breathe. Tom saw, stepped back immediately, hands up, surrendering. I'm sorry, come, this was selfish. You don't need this right now. When I pulled that brake lever, when I saw it was you, when I read your name in the EMT report, Grace Mitchell Sullivan, I had to make sure you were okay. That's all. I'll go. Wait, Grace's voice broke. Why are you driving trains? Why are you here? In this city? If you wanted to disappear, if you wanted to let us think you were dead, why stay so close? Tom's smile was sad, broken, beautiful. I've been here for 18 years. Took the conductor job 13 years ago. Same route, same platform every day. I saw you sometimes. Watched you grow up from a distance. Watched you graduate high school. Watched you meet Derek. Watched you get married. I was at your wedding, Gracie. Back row, ball cap and sunglasses. You look so beautiful. Grace's world tilted. You've been here, watching, for 18 years, and you never said anything, never let me know. I couldn't. Your mother made me promise, no contact, ever. It was the condition, leave and stay gone, or stay and destroy you with the life I led, with the man I'd become. Mom knew? Grace whispered. Mom knew you were alive? It was her idea. She arranged everything, the telegram, the funeral, the death certificate. She had friends in the military, people who owed her favors. She made me disappear. Derek finally found his voice. This is insane, Grace. This man is clearly disturbed. Security should... He's my father. Grace stared at Tom Mitchell, at the ghost who breathed, at the man who'd saved her life because he'd been there. Because he'd always been there. Watching, waiting, keeping vigil. He's my dad. Detective Cole brought the security footage. Grace recognized the blue coat immediately, and the woman wearing it. They sat in the hospital room. Grace in the bed, Derek in the chair, Detective Cole with his tablet, the curtains drawn against the afternoon sun. Privacy for terrible truths. I need to warn you, Detective Cole said. This footage is difficult to watch, but I need you to identify the woman if you can. Derek tensed. Grace noticed. Of course she noticed. She'd been noticing everything now, the way he shifted when the detective spoke, the way his jaw tightened, the way he reached for his phone and then stopped, the way his whole body screamed guilt. Show me, Grace said, her voice calm, steady, the voice of someone who'd already processed too much, who had room for more terrible truths, who needed to know. The video was grainy but clear enough. The platform at 5:30, crowds of people, rush hour. Then Grace appeared in frame, pregnant belly obvious even from the camera angle, carrying grocery bags, looking at her phone, texting, normal, unsuspecting. 30 seconds later, another figure approached from behind, blonde hair, blue coat, moving through the crowd with purpose. Not casual, not random, targeted. The woman got close, too close. Grace could see herself on the screen starting to turn, uncomfortable with the proximity. Then the woman's hands came up. Firm push, Grace stumbling forward, arms windmilling, trying to catch balance, then falling, disappearing between the platform and the train cars. The blonde woman ran, pushed through the crowd, didn't check if Grace was okay, didn't stop, didn't help, just ran. The camera caught her face for just a moment as she turned toward the exit. Grace's blood turned to ice. She knew that face. She'd seen it 6 months ago at the Christmas party, had made small talk, had accepted compliments, had watched this woman smile at Derek across the conference room, had noticed nothing wrong, nothing suspicious, nothing that said this person wanted her dead. Amber, her voice came out steady, surprisingly calm, the calm before the nuclear explosion. Her name is Amber Prescott. She works with Derek. She's his paralegal. Silence in the hospital room. So thick, it was suffocating. So heavy, it pressed down on all of them. Derek's face went white, then red, then white again. That's impossible. Amber wouldn't. She's my employee. She's... Grace, that can't be right. You must be mistaken. It's her. Grace didn't look away from the screen, from Amber's face, from the woman who tried to murder her and her unborn children. I've met her multiple times. She wore that same coat to the Christmas party. She complimented my dress. She told me how lucky you were to have me. She's unstable, Derek said quickly. Too quickly. She must have, I don't know, misinterpreted something. Developed an inappropriate attachment. I've never encouraged her. I've never given her any indication that... Derek, Grace's voice cut like glass, sharp, precise, deadly. Don't lie. Not now, not after this, not after someone had tried to kill me because of you. Detective Cole made notes. Professional, calm, like this was just another case, just another affair gone wrong, just another attempted murder motivated by jealousy. Mr. Sullivan, I need you to come down to the station. Answer some questions about your relationship with Ms. Prescott. There is no relationship. Derek stood, paced. 3 steps, turn, 3 steps. She's my employee, that's all. This is some kind of... Maybe she's mentally ill. Maybe she misunderstood professional courtesy for something else. I've never been inappropriate with her. Never. Derek, a new voice. Jessica stood in the doorway. How long had she been there? Stop lying. I saw you 3 weeks ago at the Riverside. You were holding hands. You were looking at her like you used to look at Grace. Before. You don't know what you saw. Derek's voice rose, defensive, angry. You saw two colleagues having dinner. You saw, you misinterpreted, just like Amber apparently misinterpreted, just like everyone is misinterpreting. I saw you kiss her. Jessica's voice was quiet, firm, done with secrets, done with protecting anyone but Grace. In the parking lot, when you thought no one was watching, I saw you kiss her. Then I saw you get in your car and drive home to your pregnant wife. Grace watched Derek, watched the man she'd married, watched the lies crumble, watched the truth emerge like something ugly and diseased. How long? She asked. Derek didn't answer. How long, Derek? 6 months, his voice broke. It started 6 months ago, after we found out about the twins. You were so focused on the pregnancy, so tired all the time. So, I don't know, different. She listened. She understood the pressure I was under. The long hours, the difficult cases. It didn't mean anything. I swear it didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything. Grace's voice was very quiet, very calm, the kind of calm that preceded violence. She tried to kill me. She tried to kill your children. And you're telling me it didn't mean anything? I never thought she would. She seemed normal, rational. I told her it was just physical, that I loved you, that I'd never leave you. Especially not now, not with the babies coming. She said she understood. She said she just wanted to be close to me, that she'd take whatever she could get. You told her you loved me. Grace laughed, bitter, broken. While you were sleeping with her, while you were lying to me, while I was growing your children, you told her you loved me. I do love you. Derek moved toward the bed, reached for her hand. She pulled away. Grace, please. You have to understand, it was a mistake, a terrible mistake. But I never wanted this. I never wanted her to hurt you. I never thought, get out. Grace's voice was ice, was fury, was every ounce of betrayal wrapped in two small words. Get out of my room. Get out of this hospital. Get away from me and my babies. Grace, please. The babies need their father. Their father just admitted to sleeping with the woman who tried to murder their mother. Grace turned her head, faced the window, couldn't look at him anymore, couldn't bear the sight of him. They don't need that. They need better. I need better. We all deserve better than you. Detective Cole stood. Mr. Sullivan, let's go. You can make your statement at the station. I'm calling my lawyer. Derek's voice was hollow, defeated. I'm not saying anything else without my lawyer present. That's your right. Detective Cole opened the door, waited. But I should tell you, Ms. Prescott is in custody. We picked her up an hour ago, and she's talking. She's saying quite a bit about your relationship, about the things you told her, about the promises you made. So you might want to get that lawyer on the phone. After they left, Grace sat in the silence. Jessica moved to her bedside, sat carefully, said nothing, just held Grace's hand while the world crumbled. I knew, Grace said finally, her voice very small, very quiet. Some part of me knew, the late nights, the distraction, the way he stopped really looking at me, the way he stopped asking about my day, the way everything became about him, his work, his stress, his needs. I knew, and I told myself I was imagining things, that it was pregnancy hormones, that I was being paranoid. You weren't paranoid. Jessica squeezed her hand. You were right, your instincts were right, and I'm so sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I was trying to. I kept picking up the phone, then putting it down, thinking maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was innocent, but I knew it wasn't. And I should have told you anyway. She tried to kill me. Grace placed both hands on her belly, on the twins who were still there. Still fighting, still alive. Because of him, because he made her think. What, that I was the problem? That I was standing in the way of their happiness? What did he tell her? I don't know, but we'll find out. And Grace, you're going to get through this. You're going to have these babies, and you're going to be okay. Better than okay. You're going to thrive. I don't feel like I'm going to thrive. Grace closed her eyes. exhausted, betrayed, overwhelmed. I feel like I'm drowning. Then I'll pull you up. Jessica's voice was fierce, loyal, the voice of someone who would fight beside her. We'll all pull you up. Me by me see Claire, even Tom, if you want. You have people. You're not alone. Grace made a list that night. 2 in the morning, couldn't sleep. The twins kept her awake. Her mind kept her awake. The betrayal kept her awake. So she made a list on her phone. Things she needed to do: divorce lawyer, restraining order, change bank accounts, change passwords, contact Derek's firm, file police report, document everything, find apartment, pack up house, prepare nursery, buy cribs, buy clothes, buy diapers, figure out how to be a single mother to twins, figure out how to survive this. The list grew longer, more overwhelming, more impossible, but making it gave her something: control, order, a plan when everything else was chaos. She could do this. She had to do this. The twins deserved a mother who fought, so she would fight. Claire arrived from Boston with boxes of their mother's things, including letters Grace was never supposed to see. Grace's sister appeared the next morning, 29 years old, power suit, expensive luggage, eyes red from crying. She took one look at Grace and burst into tears. "I'm okay," Grace said, but she wasn't, and they both knew it. Claire sat on the edge of the hospital bed, careful of Grace's injuries, careful of the pregnancy, careful of everything that could break. "Dad's alive." Her voice was thick, disbelieving. "I still can't. He's alive. And Mom lied. For 20 years, Mom lied to us. She thought she was protecting us. She stole him from us." Claire's voice turned hard, bitter. Their mother had died of cancer 3 years ago, took her secrets to the grave, left them with questions they could never ask, answers they'd never hear from her lips. "She let us grieve. She let us think he chose the military over us, that he died serving his country. And the whole time he was here, 40 minutes away, driving trains, watching us, and we didn't know." Grace stared at the ceiling tiles, counted them: 12 across, 8 down, 96 total, a distraction from the impossible truth. He could have fought harder, could have taken her to court, could have demanded custody, could have refused to disappear. He was SEAL Team 6, Black Ops missions, classified locations, classified everything. How does a man like that fight for custody when he can't even tell his children where he's been? When he can't promise to be there for birthdays or holidays or school events? When he might disappear for months at a time on missions he can never talk about? Fair point, terrible point, true point. Jessica entered with coffee, 3 cups. She distributed them like communion. "Okay, family meeting, what's the plan?" "The plan?" Grace laughed. Empty sound, hollow. "My husband cheated. His mistress tried to kill me. My dead father isn't dead. My mother was a liar. I'm 8 months pregnant with twins and currently homeless because I can't go back to the house I share with Derek. What plan could possibly address all of that?" "First," Claire said, "practical, strategic, marketing executive brain activated. We get you out of here. Hospital discharges tomorrow morning if the baby stays stable. You come stay with me in Boston, or we find a place here, a hotel, an apartment, somewhere safe, somewhere Derek can't find you until we figure out next steps." "I can't go to Boston. I have a job. I have doctor appointments. My whole life is here." "Then we find you an apartment here." Jessica pulled out her phone, started scrolling. Short-term rental, furnished, safe building, doorman, security cameras. "I'll start looking today." "Second," Claire continued, "we get you a lawyer, a good one, the best one. Divorce, custody, restraining order, financial separation, everything. I know someone." Jessica looked up from her phone. "Rachel Chen, she's a shark, handles high-profile divorces. She'll destroy Derek in the best possible way." "Third," Claire hesitated, "we talked to Tom, whatever we call him, because he saved your life, and maybe Maybe we hear his side before we write him off completely. Grace nodded slowly. The twins kicked, 1-2 punch. Little fighters. Okay, yes, all of that, but first I need to know something else. She looked at Jessica, at her best friend who'd been carrying secrets. You said you saw them 3 weeks ago. Have you seen them together since? Before the platform? Jessica's face crumbled. Yes, twice. Once at a coffee shop near Derek's office. They were just talking, but the way he looked at her, the way she touched his arm, and then 2 days before the attack, I saw her waiting outside your house, just sitting in her car, watching. I almost called you, but I don't know what I thought, that I was paranoid, that it was coincidence. She was stalking me. Grace's voice was flat, factual, no emotion left, all cried out. She was watching me, planning, waiting for the right moment. The police know. Detective Cole has my statement. They're building the case, premeditated attempted murder. She's not getting out of this. Grace closed her eyes, tried to process, tried to understand. What did he tell her about me, about us? What lies did he feed her to make her think I was the problem, that I was standing in the way? I don't know, but we'll find out. The police will get his phone records, his emails, his text messages, everything. The truth will come out. The truth. Grace opened her eyes. I don't even know what that means anymore. My whole life is built on lies. Derek's lies, Mom's lies, everyone lying to protect me or protect themselves. I'm done with it. Done with all of it. No more lies, not from anyone. That night, Grace took a shower. First real shower since the attack. Hospital bathroom, fluorescent lights, ugly tile. She stood under the water for 30 minutes. Watched bruises bloom across her skin, dark purple on her hip, yellow-green on her shoulder. Evidence of falling, evidence of surviving, evidence that someone hated her enough to try to end her. She wrapped her arms around her belly, felt the twins moving. Still there, still fighting, still refusing to give up. I've got you, she whispered. No matter what, no matter who tries to stop us. I've got you. Tom brought a box. 20 years of letters he wrote but never sent. Every birthday, every Christmas, every milestone. He appeared at the hospital room door the next morning, hesitant, hopeful, frayed, carrying a worn cardboard box that looked like it had been opened and closed 1,000 times. I brought something, he said. If you're ready, if you want to know why I stayed away. Grace had been discharged an hour ago. Claire had found a furnished apartment, 2-bedroom, safe building, month-to-month lease. They'd planned to head there after lunch. But Tom had called, asked if he could see her, said he had something to show her. They sat in a conference room the hospital let them use. Grace, Claire, Tom, Jessica, like a family that wasn't quite a family, like strangers with shared DNA and 20 years of grief between them. Tom opened the box. Letters, hundreds of letters, all addressed to Grace Mitchell, then Grace Sullivan after she married. Different handwriting on the envelopes over the years. Neater at first, then shakier, then neat again, like someone learning to be human again. I wrote every week, Tom said quietly. His hands shook as he sorted through them. Every birthday, every holiday, every time I thought about you, which was always, every single day. I thought, maybe someday, maybe when you were older, maybe when you could understand. But your mother made me promise. No contact, ever. It was the condition. Leave and stay gone, or stay and destroy you with the life I led. Grace picked up a letter, her 12th birthday. The envelope worn soft from handling. She opened it with shaking hands. The handwriting was careful, precise, like someone trying very hard to say the right thing. Dear Gracie, happy birthday, sweetheart. You're 12 today, almost a teenager. I hope you had a wonderful day. I hope you got the bike you wanted, the blue one with the basket. I hope you rode it around the neighborhood with your friends. I hope you laughed until your stomach hurt. I hope you felt loved and celebrated and special, because you are. You're the most special person in my world. Even if you don't know I exist anymore, Even if you think I'm gone, I'm still here. Or I'm still thinking about you, still wishing I could be there. I'm sorry I can't. I'm sorry I chose this. I'm sorry every single day. Love, Dad. Grace couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Tears ran down her face. She picked up another letter. Her high school graduation. Envelope crisp, like he'd saved it for something important. Dear Gracie, I was there today. Back row, ball cap and sunglasses, brown jacket. I watched you walk across that stage and I was so proud I could barely breathe. Valedictorian, full scholarship to state. You're going to do amazing things. You're going to change the world. And I'm sorry I can't be there to see it up close, but I'm watching. I'm always watching. From the back row, from the shadows, from the life I gave up so you could have yours. I hope you understand someday. I hope you forgive me. Love, Dad. Another her wedding day. This envelope was wrinkled, like he'd carried it with him. Opened it, read it, closed it, over and over. Dear Gracie, you look so beautiful today. Your mother would be so proud. I was so proud. Derek seems like a good man. I hope he knows how lucky he is. I hope he treats you like the gift you are. I hope he makes you happy. I hope he never makes you cry. I hope he protects you, loves you, cherishes you, the way I should have, the way I wanted to. I hope I made the right choice 20 years ago when I walked away. I hope you're happier without me than you would have been with me. I hope leaving you was worth it, even though it cost me everything. Love, Dad. Claire was crying now, reading letters addressed to her. Younger sister, 8 when their father died. She read one aloud, voice breaking. Dear Claire Bear, I saw you at the grocery store today. You were buying ice cream, 3 pints, cherry Garcia, cookie dough, chocolate chip. You were laughing with the cashier, making jokes. You've always been the funny one, the one who made everyone smile. I wanted to say hi, wanted to tell you I was proud of you, wanted to hug you, but I couldn't because you think I'm dead, and maybe that's better. Maybe you're happier thinking I died a hero than knowing I'm a coward who couldn't face his own children. Love, Dad. Tom sat with his head in his hands. I know it doesn't make up for anything. I know letters I never sent are worthless, but I needed you to know. I never forgot. I never stopped being your father. I stopped being present. Why didn't you send them? Claire's voice was thick, angry. Why didn't you let us know? Even anonymously, even just something, anything, better than nothing. Because your mother was right. Tom looked up, eyes red, face lined with 20 years of regret. I was dangerous, not just the work, but the man I'd become. The PTSD, the nightmares, the rage. I came home from missions and I didn't know how to turn it off. How to be just a dad, just a husband, just a normal person. I was a weapon that didn't know how to be human. So you left us. Grace's voice was very quiet. You chose to be a weapon instead of our father. I chose to protect you from the weapon I'd become, your mother. She tried, she really tried. She got me into therapy, into programs, into treatment. But I couldn't. I couldn't talk about what I'd seen, what I'd done. I couldn't process it, couldn't move past it. And I was getting worse, more volatile, more dangerous. She was afraid, rightfully afraid. Afraid of what? Claire asked. What did you do? Tom took a long breath. I woke up one night, thought I was back in Kabul. Thought enemy combatants were in the house. I grabbed my service weapon, cleared the rooms. Your mother found me in Grace's bedroom, standing over her bed, gun drawn, safety off. She was 10 years old, sleeping, and I had a loaded weapon pointed at my own daughter. Silence. Heavy, terrible, true. I didn't pull the trigger, Tom continued, his voice breaking. Your mother's voice, calling my name, brought me back. But I could have, in that moment, in that flashback, I could have killed my own child because I couldn't tell the difference between a war zone and a bedroom. Grace felt sick. Mom never told us. I made her promise not to, made her promise to never tell you that your father almost, that I almost. I checked myself into a VA hospital the next day. Intensive treatment, medication, therapy, everything. But I knew. I knew I couldn't come back. Not then, maybe not ever. So I agreed to her plan. Fake my death, let you move on. Let you have a life without the constant fear that I might hurt you. You should have told us when we were older. Claire's voice was hard, unforgiving. When we could understand, when we could make our own choices about whether to have a relationship with you. You were 16 when I finally got stable, when the medication worked, when the therapy helped, when I learned how to manage it. But by then, you had lives, friends, plans. Grace was applying to colleges. Claire, you were thriving in high school, theater, student council. Happy. I couldn't shatter that. Couldn't come back from the dead and upend everything. So you watched. Grace looked at him, at her father, at the ghost, at the man who'd spent 20 years in purgatory of his own making. You took a job driving trains on my route. You went to my wedding. You've been there. All this time. I couldn't stay away completely. I tried for the first 2 years. I moved to Seattle. Tried to build a new life, but I couldn't. I needed to know you were okay, both of you. So I came back, got the conductor job, requested the route that went past your apartment, also past your school. I could see you twice a day, morning commute, evening commute. Could make sure you got on the train safely, got off safely, could keep watch. That's not normal, Jessica said quietly. I'm sorry, but that's stalking. I know. Tom didn't argue, didn't defend. I know what it is, and I know it's wrong, but it was all I had, the only way I could be a father, even if you didn't know I existed. Grace didn't know what to feel, anger, grief, relief, confusion, all of it swirling together, creating something she couldn't name, couldn't process. And the train yesterday, when I fell, you were there because you're always there. I was there because I've driven that route 4,000 times, because I know every stop, every platform, every face, and when I saw someone fall, when I hit the emergency brake, when I got out to help and realized it was you, my daughter, pregnant, on the tracks, with a train 3 feet from ending everything. I've seen combat, I've seen death, I've seen terrible things, but nothing prepared me for that moment. You saved us. Grace placed a hand on her belly, on the twins who existed because their grandfather had excellent reflexes, because he'd been watching, because 20 years of distance meant he was there when it mattered. The babies, me, you saved us. I should have saved you 20 years ago. Should have fought your mother, should have gotten help sooner, should have been there for every birthday, every nightmare, every moment you needed a father. You can't change the past. Grace looked at Claire, at her sister who'd lost the same father, who believed the same lies, who deserved the same truth. But you're here now and I don't know what I need, but I can't process this right now. I can't handle one more revelation, one more secret, one more lie. I need time. I understand. Tom stood, prepared to leave, to disappear again. But Grace, Claire, I want you to know, I'm here for whatever you need, whenever you need it. No more secrets, no more lies, no more watching from a distance. If you want me, I'm here. After he left, the sisters sat surrounded by letters. 20 years of I love yous that were never spoken, 20 years of I'm sorries that were never heard, 20 years of a father who loved them enough to leave, and not enough to stay. They found Amber, and what she told the police made everything so much worse. Detective Cole called at 7 in the morning. Grace was in the newest apartment, trying to make it feel like home, trying to unpack the few things Claire had brought from the house she'd shared with Derek, trying to figure out how to exist in this new reality. We have Amber Prescott in custody, Detective Cole said. Professional, gentle. She's talking. You need to know what she's saying. Grace put the phone on speaker. Claire and Jessica gathered close. 3 women preparing for another bomb to drop. Ms. Prescott claims the affair with your husband began 7 months ago, not 6 as he stated. She says Derek told her you were separated, that the marriage was over, that you were staying together only because of the pregnancy. That's a lie. Grace's voice was steady, surprisingly steady. We weren't separated. We were planning the nursery, choosing names. We were happy. I thought we were happy. She also claims Derek told her you were unstable, emotionally volatile due to pregnancy hormones, that you'd threaten to harm yourself and the babies if he left. What? Grace's voice rose. The calm shattered. Duh, and I would never. Those babies are everything. Everything. I would die before I hurt them. We know your medical records, your friends, your colleagues, your doctor. Everyone confirms you've had a normal, healthy pregnancy. No signs of depression. No signs of instability. Derek's claims were false. He was setting her up. Claire's voice was cold, analytical. He was feeding her lies, making her believe Grace was the problem, making her believe Grace was standing between them, making her believe she was the hero of the story. That's our assessment as well. Ms. Prescott's lawyer is claiming temporary insanity, claiming she thought she was protecting Derek and his unborn children from an unstable woman, claiming the push was supposed to scare you into leaving, not kill you. Grace laughed, bitter, broken. She pushed a pregnant woman onto train tracks in front of an express train. And she's claiming she didn't mean to kill me? That's insane. Her lawyer is good. They're going for diminished capacity, emotional manipulation by Derek, painting her as a victim of his lies. A young woman who fell in love with a married man who told her his wife was dangerous, who told her his children were at risk, who made her believe she was doing the right thing. But she wasn't. Grace's voice was very quiet, very firm. She tried to murder me. She tried to murder my babies. Nothing Derek said makes that okay. Nothing he told her justifies what she did. I agree, and the DA agrees. But you need to be prepared. This is going to get ugly. Derek's going to fight. His law firm has resources. Amber's family has money. They're going to come after your credibility, your mental state, your fitness as a mother. Grace went very still, very cold. They're going to try to take my babies. They're going to try. Derek's already filed for emergency custody, claiming you're unstable, claiming the stress of the attack has made you a danger to yourself and the unborn children, claiming he's the stable parent, the one who can provide a safe home. This is his fault, all of it, his affair, his lies, and he's trying to say I'm the problem? Welcome to family court. Detective Cole's voice was grim. But we're not fine. We're not going to let them win. You have witnesses, security footage, medical evidence, psychiatric evaluations showing you're completely stable. And now you have motive. Derek wanted you out of the way. Amber was desperate enough to treat. What about Derek's? Jessica asked. Is he being charged? Not yet, but we're building a case. Conspiracy, accessory. At minimum, he'll face civil liability. At maximum, well, let's see what else we find. After the call ended, Grace sat in silence, processing, calculating, surviving. The apartment was quiet, morning light through the windows, the twins moving, her sister and best friend watching her, waiting. I need a lawyer, she said finally. Not just any lawyer, the best lawyer money can buy. I need someone who will destroy Derek, professionally, legally, completely. Rachel Chen? Jessica was already dialing. I told you about her. She's a shark. She'll eviscerate him. Good. Grace placed both hands on her belly, protective, fierce, determined. Because I'm done being the victim. I'm done being pushed around, literally and figuratively. Those babies deserve a mother who fights, so I'm going to fight. The panic hit at 2 a.m. Grace woke gasping, sweating, heart racing, the nightmare vivid and terrible. Falling, the train, the sound of metal on metal, the certainty of death. She couldn't breathe, couldn't calm down, couldn't remember this was now and she was safe and the twins were fine. She sat in the bathtub, fully clothed, knees pulled up as much as her belly allowed, rocking, trying to breathe, trying to ground herself, trying to remember the techniques the hospital therapist had taught her. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, Three things you can hear: tile, white, clean, faucet, chrome, dripping, towel, soft, blue, her phone, charging, beeping, her reflection, pregnant, bruised, alive. She stayed there for an hour, until the panic subsided, until her heart rate slowed, until she could think past the fear. Then she cleaned herself up, changed clothes, made tea she couldn't drink because caffeine wasn't good for the babies, sat at the kitchen table and made more lists. Things she needed to do, people she needed to call, battles she needed to fight. The list grew longer, more daunting, more impossible, but making it gave her something: purpose, direction, control when everything else was chaos. She could do this. She had to do this. Because the alternative was letting Derek win, letting Amber's actions define her, letting fear control her life. And she refused, absolutely refused. The twins kicked, strong, assistant, reminding her they were there. They were counting on her. They needed her to be strong. So she would be strong even when she didn't feel it, even when she wanted to fall apart, even when everything hurt. She would be strong. Father Grant called, said he had information about Grace's mother, about the deal she made with Tom, about the real reason she lied. Father Michael Grant had been the family priest for 30 years, baptized both Grace and Claire, presided over their first communions, confirmed them, married Grace and Derek, buried their mother. Now he sat in Grace's temporary apartment and delivered truths that hurt more than any lie. "Your mother came to me," he said, voice heavy with secrets carried too long. "2 months before she told you girls that your father died. She was desperate, afraid. Tom had come home from a mission. Different, darker, changed. He'd been injured, nearly died, suffered severe PTSD, traumatic brain injury. He was having nightmares, violent episodes. He never hurt you girls, never. But she was terrified he would." Grace and Claire sat frozen, processing, trying to reconcile the father they remembered with the man being described. One night he woke up swinging, thought your mother was an enemy combatant, wrapped his hands around her throat before he realized where he was, before he came back to himself. She had bruises for weeks, wore turtlenecks to hide them, made excuses, but she was scared, truly scared. "She never told us." Claire's voice was very small. "She was protecting you. From the truth, from the fear, from having to see your father as someone dangerous, someone who might hurt the people he loved. So she gave him an ultimatum." Grace understood now, saw it clearly. Get help or leave. She gave him a choice: get intensive psychiatric help, leave the SEALs, become a normal father and husband, or leave completely. Let you believe he died, give you a clean break instead of years of trauma and fear. And he chose to leave. Claire's voice was flat, hard. He chose his career over us. He chose to protect you from himself. Father Grant's eyes were sad, knowing, bearing witness to impossible choices. Tom believed he was too broken to fix, believed the military was the only thing he was good at anymore, believed you'd be safer without him than with a father who might wake up one night and mistake his daughter's voice for an enemy combatant. "That's not fair," Grace's voice cracked. "He doesn't get to make that choice for us. We should have had a say. We should have been told the truth, even if the truth was terrible. Even if the truth was that our father was sick. We deserve to know. You were 11 and 8 years old. How do you tell children that their father is too damaged by war to be around them? How do you explain PTSD and traumatic brain injury to kids who just want their daddy home?" Silence fell, heavy, painful, because the answer was, you can't, you shouldn't have to. There was no good way to tell children that their father was dangerous, that their father might hurt them without meaning to, that their father loved them so much he had to leave. "Your mother sent me to talk to Tom," Father Grant continued, "to help him see reason, to convince him to get help, to stay, to fight for his family, but he'd already made up his mind. Said the only gift he could give you was a clean memory, a hero father who died serving his country. Better than a broken man who couldn't even sleep through the night without waking up screaming." better than a father you'd learn to fear. He was wrong. Grace's voice lacked conviction because she was thinking about the twins now, about what she'd do to keep them safe, about how far she'd go to protect them from harm, even harm that came from love, even harm that was unintentional. Wasn't he? I don't know. Father Grant's honesty was brutal, kind, real. I've spent 30 years trying to answer that question. Was he wrong to leave? Or was he wrong to even consider staying? Would you have been better off with a father who got help? Or better off thinking he died a hero? I don't know, and neither did they. They both made impossible choices with incomplete information and the best intentions. Father Grant handed Grace an envelope, yellowed with age, sealed, her mother's handwriting on the front. Grace to be opened if Tom ever returns. She knew. Grace stared at the envelope. She knew he might come back someday. She hoped and she feared. Both at once. She left this with me before she died, made me promise to give it to you if Tom ever resurfaced, if you ever learned the truth. Grace opened it with shaking hands. The letter inside was dated 3 years ago, written during her mother's final month, when the cancer had spread everywhere, when death was certain, when confessions became possible. Dear Gracie, if you're reading this, then you know, and I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I lied. I'm sorry I stole your faith from you. I'm sorry I chose fear over faith, over trust, over truth. Tom wasn't a bad man. He was a broken man, and I was too afraid to help him heal, too weak to stand by him through the treatment, too selfish to risk our safety while he figured out how to be human again. So I pushed him away and told you he was dead. It seemed kinder, cleaner, but it was just easier. For me. Not for you, never for you. I've lived with the guilt for 20 years. Watched you grieve a father who was alive. Watched you stand at an empty grave and cry. Watched you miss him at every milestone. And I let you because I was a coward. Because I chose easy over right. Please forgive me. Please forgive him. Please know that every decision we made came from love. Misguided, wrong, but love. He wanted to stay, wanted to fight for you. I pushed him away. I made the choice. I carry the blame. And I'm sorry, so very sorry. Love, Mom. Grace read it twice, then a third time, trying to process, trying to understand, trying to forgive the unforgivable. Her mother, who lied, who stole, who thought she was protecting her daughters, but was really just protecting herself from difficult truths. She was wrong. Grace's voice was firm now, clear. She was wrong to lie, wrong to push him away, wrong to make that choice for all of us. But I understand why she did it. I understand being so afraid that you make terrible decisions, that you choose safety over everything else, that you convince yourself you're protecting someone when really you're just protecting yourself from having to be brave. She loved you. Father Grant's voice was gentle. Everything she did, right or wrong, came from love. I know. Grace folded the letter, placed it back in the envelope, added it to the bomb of unsent letters from her father, a collection of love that was never expressed, apologies that were never heard, a family that could have been. I know she loved me. I know he loved me. And I know they both failed me, both of them, in different ways, but they failed me. Are you going to forgive them? Grace took a long breath, placed both hands on her belly, on the twins who would be here soon, who would depend on her to make good choices, to tell them the truth, to protect them without lying to them. I don't know, maybe. Someday, but not today. Today, I'm just angry and cyan and overwhelmed. Today, I just need to get through the day. Father Grant nodded, stood to leave. Tom comes to confession every week, has for 18 years, same thing every time. I abandoned my daughters. How do I live with that? How do I make it right? And I tell him every time. You find a way to protect them from afar, and you pray they forgive you when they learn the truth. He's been praying for 20 years, for your forgiveness, for your understanding, for a chance to be your father again. Tell him. Grace's voice was very quiet, very firm. Tell him I'm not ready, but I'm not saying never, just not yet. After Father Grant left, Grace took a bath, Epsom salts for the aching muscles, lavender oil for the racing mind. She floated in the warm water and let herself feel everything. The anger at her mother, the grief for her father, the fear for her babies, the betrayal by her husband. All of it. She didn't try to organize it, didn't try to make sense of it, just felt it, acknowledged it, then let it go with the bathwater. She was done carrying other people's choices, done carrying other people's guilt, done carrying anything except the twins and the future she was building. She couldn't change the past, couldn't fix her parents' mistakes, couldn't undo Derek's betrayal, but she could choose how to move forward. And she chose strength. She chose truth. She chose to be the parent her children needed. Honest, present, there, always there. Tom showed up at 3 in the morning. Emergency. The hospital had called. Something was wrong with the babies. Grace woke to pounding on the door. Braxton Hicks' contractions that had been manageable became intense, painful, regular. Every 5 minutes. She was 36 weeks pregnant. Not quite early enough for panic. Not quite late enough for safety. Claire called 911, so Jessica grabbed the hospital bag they'd packed just in case. And Tom. Tom appeared out of nowhere, like he'd been watching, waiting, ready for the moment they needed him. I heard the ambulance dispatch, he said. I still monitor the emergency channels. Old habit. I got here as fast as I could. They rode to the hospital together, Grace in the ambulance, Tom in his car following. Claire and Jessica right behind. A convoy of people who loved her, who showed up, who refused to let her face this alone. Dr. Brennan met them at the ER efficient, calm. She examined Grace with practiced hands, checked the monitors, watched the contraction patterns. False labor. Braxton Hicks made worse by stress. The babies are fine, both heartbeats are good, but you're measuring their living space and they're thinking about making an early exit. How early? You're 36 weeks. If they came now, they'd be okay. Small. They'd need some inayashuding, but they'd be okay. However, I'd like to keep them cooking for at least another week. 2 would be better. So you're staying here. Complete bed rest. 48 hours minimum. We're going to monitor you, make sure these contractions stop. Make sure the babies settle down. Grace nodded, too tired to argue, too overwhelmed to protest. She just wanted the twins safe, wanted them healthy, wanted them to stay put until they were ready. Really ready. Tom sat in the chair beside her bed, refused to leave. When the nurses said visiting hours were over, he showed his conductor ID, said he was the one who saved her life, said he wasn't leaving. They let him stay. You don't have to, Grace said, her voice hoarse from the pain, from the stress, from everything. I know. Tom's voice was gentle, firm. But I'm staying anyway. You shouldn't be alone. Claire and Jessica went to get some rest. They'll be back in the morning. But for now, let me be here. Let me do this one thing. They sat in silence for a while. Grace closed her eyes, tried to rest, tried to let the medication work, tried to calm down so the babies would calm down. But her mind wouldn't stop, wouldn't quiet, kept spinning through everything. Derek, Amber, the trial, the custody battle, single motherhood, how she was going to manage, how she was going to survive. Talk to me, Tom said quietly. Tell me what you're thinking. I'm thinking I'm terrified. Grace's voice was very small. I'm thinking I don't know how to do this. How to be a single mother to twins. How to work full-time. How to afford childcare. How to give them everything they need. How to be enough. You're already enough. Tom leaned forward. You're already everything they need. You're strong, you're smart, you're capable, and you're not alone. I feel alone. I know, but you're not. You have Claire, you have Jessica, you have me. If you want me, I know I don't have the right to ask, don't have the right to be part of your life after 20 years of absence. But I'm here, and I want to help. I want to be their grandfather. If you'll let me. Grace opened her eyes, looked at him, at her father, at the man who'd been dead but wasn't, at the ghost who breathed, at the person who'd saved her life not once but twice. Once on the platform, once by hitting the brakes, once by being there. Why should I trust you? You left. You chose to leave. You could leave again. I could. Tom's voice was steady, honest. I can't promise I'll never disappoint you. Can't promise I'll always do the right thing. But I can promise I'll never leave again. Never disappear. Never lie. I'm done hiding. Done watching from a distance. If you let me in, I'm in. Completely. For everything. Good and bad, easy and hard. I'm here. I'm not ready to forgive you. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I'm just asking for a chance to be present, to be useful, to be a grandfather to your children, even if I can never be the father you deserved. Grace closed her eyes again, felt the twins moving, settling down now that the medication was working, now that her heart rate was slowing, now that the stress was easing. Okay, yes, be here, be present, be their grandfather, but don't lie to me. Don't hide from me. Don't make promises you can't keep. Just be honest, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I can do that. Tom's voice was thick with emotion. I can be honest. They talked through the night. Tom told her about the years after he left, the treatment, the medication, the therapy, the group sessions with other veterans who'd come home broken. The slow, painful process of learning to be human again. Learning to sleep without nightmares. Learning to handle sudden noises. Learning to exist in a world that wasn't trying to kill him. Grace told him about growing up without him. The father-daughter dances she attended with her uncle. The baseball games where she watched other kids with their dads. The graduation where she walked across the stage and looked for him in the crowd even though she knew he was dead. The wedding where she danced with her grandfather because her father wasn't there. The pregnancy announcement she wished she could have shared with him. All the moments he missed. All the moments that hurt. I'm sorry. Tom said it over and over. I'm so sorry. I know. Grace's voice was softer now. The anger ebbing. Not gone, but less sharp, less immediate. I know you're sorry. And I know you thought you were doing the right thing. But you weren't. You were doing the easy thing. And there's a difference. Wisha, you're right. But you're here now, and that matters. You saved my life. You saved my babies. And you're choosing to stay. To be present. To do the hard thing. So, thank you for that. Tom wiped his eyes, tried to hide that he was crying, failed. I'd do it again. Every day. Every moment. I'd live those 20 years of loneliness again if it meant saving you once. Don't say that. Grace's voice was firm. Don't romanticize it. Those 20 years hurt me. Hurt Claire. Hurt you. Hurt everyone. They weren't noble. They weren't a sacrifice. They were just sad. Just painful. Just lost time we can never get back. You're right. Tom nodded. You're right. Grace looked at him, at her father who was learning to be honest, to be present, to be real. I want you in their lives, these babies, your grandchildren. I want them to know you, to have a grandfather who shows up, who doesn't disappear. Can you do that? Can you be here, really here? I've been waiting 20 years for you to ask. Tom's voice broke completely. I'll be here, I promise. No more secrets, no more distance, I'm here. The sun rose. Morning light filled the hospital room. The contractions had stopped. The babies had settled. Grace was stable, safe, surrounded by family, by people who showed up, by a father who was learning how to be present. She wasn't ready to forgive, but she was ready to try, ready to move forward, ready to build something new from the ashes of everything that burned. Labor started at 37 weeks, too early for safety, too late to stop. And the only person with her was Tom. 3 a.m, 2 weeks later. Grace woke to wetness, to pressure, to the undeniable reality that the twins were done waiting. Her water had broken. The contractions were real this time. Strong, regular, 3 minutes apart. She was alone in the apartment. Claire had flown back to Boston for work meetings she couldn't reschedule. Jessica was home with her family. The nearest hospital was 20 minutes away. Grace called Tom. He answered on the first ring. Gracie, what's wrong? The babies are coming. My water broke. Contractions are 3 minutes apart. I'm on my way. Don't move. Don't panic. Just breathe. I'll be there in 10 minutes. He was there in 8, must have broken every traffic law. Didn't care, found her in the bathroom. Contractions, 2 minutes apart now, breathing through the pain, trying not to panic, trying to remember everything from the childbirth classes, trying to believe this was going to be okay. Okay, okay. Tom helped her stand, supported her weight, guided her toward the door. We're going to the hospital. You're doing great. Just breathe. In through your nose, out through your mouth. That's it. Perfect. The drive was a blur. Contractions, breathing, Tom's voice steady and calm. You're doing great. Just keep breathing. We're almost there. You're so strong, so brave. Almost there. They made it to the hospital with 15 minutes to spare. Dr. Brennan took over. Nurses swarmed. Monitors beeped. But through it all, Tom stayed. Held Grace's hand, coached her breathing, refused to leave. Where's your husband? A nurse asked. Not here, Grace managed between contractions. Not welcome. Her father's with her. Tom's voice was firm, protective. I'm not leaving. Twin A arrived at 4:47 in the morning. 6 pounds, 3 ounces, healthy lungs, perfect fingers and toes. Grace held her daughter and cried. Joy, relief, love, everything all at once. Joy. She's beautiful. Tom's voice was thick with emotion. She looks just like you did. Same eyes, same little nose. Twin B followed 8 minutes later. 6 pounds even. Equally perfect, equally loved. Grace held her son and laughed, through tears, through exhaustion, through joy that felt impossible after everything. And he has your nose. Grace looked at Tom, at her father holding his grandson for the first time. Look, he has your nose. Tom cut both umbilical cords with shaking hands, met his grandchildren, held them with the careful reverence of a man who knew what it meant to almost lose everything, who'd spent 20 years watching from a distance, who was finally, being allowed to be present. What are their names? The nurse asked. Clipboard ready, birth certificates waiting. Grace looked at Tom, at her father, at the grandfather who almost wasn't, at the man who'd saved her life, who'd chosen to stay, who'd chosen the hard thing. Their last name is Mitchell, not Sullivan. Mitchell, Tom's eyes filled with tears. Hope Mitchell and Thomas Mitchell. Hope, because that's what I have now, what I choose to have. And Thomas, because he's named after the man who saved us all, the man who stopped the train, the man who chose to come back, the man who's choosing to stay. Claire arrived an hour later, met her niece and nephew, held them, cried, laughed, took 100 photos, called everyone they knew. Jessica appeared with balloons and stuffed animals and enough love to fill the room 3 times over. Derek was not there. Derek was not invited. Derek had a restraining order and supervised visitation rights and consequences, waiting. But Grace didn't think about Derek, didn't waste energy on anger or betrayal or what might have been. She thought about her babies, about Hope and Thomas, about 2 tiny humans who'd fought to exist, who'd survived attempted murder, who'd arrived early but strong, who were perfect, absolutely perfect. She thought about her father who was learning to be present, who'd delivered his grandchildren into the world with steady hands and endless love, who was there, really there. She thought about her sister and her best friend and her support system that was imperfect but real, that showed up, that stayed. And she thought about herself, about Grace Mitchell Sullivan who'd survived, who'd fought, who'd refused to be defeated by circumstances or betrayal or train tracks, who was stronger than she ever knew. You did it. Tom sat beside her hospital bed, held baby Thomas, let the tiny fingers wrap around his. You're amazing. They're amazing. Everything is amazing. We did it. Grace corrected him, held baby Hope, marveled at her existence. All of us, together, we survived. And now we get to live. 6 months later, Grace sat on a park bench, Hope and Thomas in a double stroller, 6 months old, chubby, happy, healthy, loved beyond measure. Tom pushed the stroller, made silly faces, sang off key lullabies, was exactly the grandfather he never got to be as a father. made up for lost time, showed up every day, every moment, never missed. Claire visited every other weekend, flew in from Boston, spoiled her niece and nephew rotten, talked about moving back, about buying a house nearby, about rebuilding what was lost, about being an aunt, being a sister, being family. Derek saw the twins every other Saturday, supervised visitation, court mandated, 2 hours in a family center with a social worker present. He was sober now, attending therapy, 12-step meetings, attempting to rebuild trust that might never fully return. Grace was civil, polite, for the children. But forgiveness was still miles away, might always be miles away. And that was okay. She didn't owe him forgiveness, didn't owe him anything except co-parenting, which she did, professionally, carefully, with clear boundaries. Amber Prescott was serving 15 years, attempted murder with aggravating circumstances, premeditation. She'd be eligible for parole in 10. Grace didn't think about her much anymore, didn't give her that power, didn't let her take up space in her mind. Amber was the past. Grace was focused on the future. Jessica was Hope's godmother. Thomas's too, even though tradition said you couldn't be godmother to both. Grace didn't care about tradition. Jessica had earned it, had shown up, had stayed, had fought beside her. So Jessica got both, and threw elaborate 6-month birthday parties, and showed up for every milestone, and proved that family wasn't blood. Family was who stayed. Grace was teaching again. Part-time, 3rd grade, reading groups and art projects in children who adored her. She was good at it, had always been good at it, found joy in it, found purpose, found herself again after months of feeling lost. She was writing a book, a memoir about survival, about lies that steal years and truths that save lives, about fathers of us who are ghosts and trains that stop just in time, about choices, about second chances, about building family from ashes. Her editor was excited, said it would resonate, said women needed these stories, stories of survival, of strength, of refusing to be defeated. She was dating, cautiously, a teacher from the high school down the street. Michael, kind, patient, understanding, no pressure, no expectations, just coffee dates, park walks with the twins, slow and steady, learning to trust again. Not there yet, but closer, getting closer. She was in therapy, processing, healing, understanding that surviving wasn't the same as thriving, but it was the necessary first step. Learning to forgive herself for the signs she missed, for the marriage that failed, for believing Derek's lies. Learning that she wasn't responsible for other people's choices, only her own. And every Tuesday and Thursday she rode the train, the same route, the same platform where she nearly died, because she refused to let fear win, refused to let Amber take even one more thing from her, refused to avoid the place where her life changed, where she fell, where she survived, where her father saved her. Tom still drove that road, still watched for her twice a day. But now she waved, now she smiled, now she knew he was there. Now it wasn't surveillance, it was family. It was a father watching over his daughter, a grandfather thinking about his grandchildren, a man who'd made terrible choices but was making better ones now. "Are you happy?" Claire asked one Sunday afternoon. Family dinner at Grace's apartment, the home she owned now, the life she'd built from nothing. Grace looked around, at her babies sleeping in their swings, at her father washing dishes, at her sister setting the table, at Jessica bringing dessert through the door, at Michael helping Tom dry the plates, at the family she'd built, the family she'd chosen, the imperfect, complicated, beautiful family. "I'm getting there," she said, and meant it. One day at a time, one truth at a time, one choice at a time. I'm getting there. And she was. She'd survived attempted murder, survived betrayal, survived the revelation that her father was alive, survived childbirth, survived the hardest months of her life. She'd survived all of it, and now she was doing more than surviving. She was living, really living, building a life. making choices, refusing to be defeated. The twins woke up. Simultaneous crying, perfect timing. Grace and Tom both moved toward them. Both picked up a baby. Both rocked and soothed and whispered love. Grandfather and mother, working together, present, there. I've got hope, Tom said. And I've got Thomas, Grace replied. But really, she had both of them. She had everything. She had survived. And now she had a future. A beautiful, complicated, hard-won future, and that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Grace rebuilt her life from train tracks and ashes. She survived attempted murder, betrayal, and 20 years of lies. And she did it by choosing truth, by choosing to show up, by choosing to fight. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you think about your own second chances, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below telling me what resonated most. Hit that like button if Grace's strength reminded you of your own. Share this with someone who needs to hear that survival is just the beginning. Thriving comes next. And subscribe because every week we bring you stories of women who refuse to be defeated, who turn their darkest moments into their greatest triumphs. Grace's story isn't over, and neither is yours. Until next time, keep fighting, keep surviving, keep thriving.